Thank you very much. I'm incredibly glad to be here at WGU. This is a clock, so at 7:55 I will be done, whether or not I am. It's a wonderful fit, what y'all do, and so it's continuous, lifelong learning. It's being the best you can. It's education at all times in your life. So we're a really nice fit, and that's what my lesson is about tonight. It's about going forward. It's what you're going to do tomorrow. It's the next step you're going to take. You look in the mirror tonight. This is who I am. Here's my passions, and here's my dreams. And tomorrow, what opportunities are going to open up for you to partake in, to get on some playing field, learn what you got to do, be the best you can, and get to the finish line. So you'll see the little box down here. Usually I am paid to be out of the box, but tonight I am paid to be in the box. So you have to adapt, right? Okay, farm kid to rocket man and way beyond, that's a story. I am going to tell you a story. It's a story that's made up of a lot of human scenarios, dramatic human events, and we're going to extract from those events the lessons and the principles of the evening. So, excellence. Be the best you can every time you do anything, every second of the day. The more you put into it, the more you're going to learn from it, and the more you can take that with you into your future. Exploration. Explore all the possibilities. What are the possibilities open to me tomorrow? And evolution. Evolution of yourself as a person. So, I got two airplanes up there. One of them is me, and the other is you. So we're going on a journey together. You're going to raise my bar. I'm going to raise yours. We're on this journey together. I'm not here to fix you. You don't need fixing. We go together on this journey. So it is your passions, your dreams, and your life. Away we go. So design a life for yourself. Life is a series of opportunities. What door going to open? I'm going to do this right now. It's the next step. I'm going to do this. That's an opportunity to meet the world's expectations, figure it out, get it done, and move, keep moving on. That's what life is all about. They're like playing fields. I'm on a playing field. The rules of this game, how good do I have to be? How do I get to the finish line? So life is a whole bunch of playing fields and its challenges. It is to meet the world's expectations. Every time you jump into opportunity, you got to meet the world's expectations. So give it your all, the best you can. Yes, it's the right thing to do anyway, but for yourself, give it all you can. You will learn more, and you'll have more to carry on the journey. Figure that out. Get yourself up to speed. Get it done. Learn from it. Most important, take it with you. Don't leave anything behind. What skill you got, what thinking you got, take it with you, because it will make a difference, as you will see in your future, and keep moving. That's what we're up to tonight. Maybe that's the most important one. Now you can loosen up a little bit. We've got to have fun. We're going to have fun tonight too. So I'm serious, but you can loosen up. So fun. If it ain't fun, you won't do it well. And if this life ain't fun, turn it in and get another, because this is the one you got for right now. So that's a very important part of it. So we're going to launch. We're going to launch your skills, multiple skills, all kinds of talent. We're going to launch your life, your family, your career, and the team that you are going to work with. That is the posture. It's the posture of exploration. Okay, kids, all you kids, remember that. You take any 3-year-old and you drop them anywhere, and they're in the game. I don't care to some stick, some roach. That kid is in the game. Any 3-year-old is in the game. Give it to me, baby. What's this all about? I'm going to explore every cubic inch of this little place. Curiosity. And so curiosity is what's going to pull and push you through life. Curiosity and imagination. But that is me 80 years ago on my farm. That's me 80 years ago in western Massachusetts, and I had 500 acres to play in. I stretched my mother on how far I could be gone. how dark. I'm in the forest at age 3, alone at night. Pine forest, what can hurt you? Nothing. So I stretched mom. So I was into exploration at the earliest of age. That's my front yard you see right there. That's my front yard, western Massachusetts. And it's Stockbridge, Mass. Anyone that's been to the Rockwell Museum, that's my old childhood home. So the Norman Rockwell Museum is now my old childhood house. That's the front yard, and that's the Houstonic River. So there's a hill running down. See, there's a hill running down to the river, and the barn over here. The hill from the barn runs down into the river. That's my first tractor. We got tractor people in this crowd. Of course we do. My first tractor was a F-20. I farm all. Well, at the age of 7, I don't know how to drive anything. But, you know, I want to be adult. I want to do what the big folks do. So I jump on this tractor, and I'm pretending to drive this tractor, doing everything on a tractor. Well, the brakes on a tractor, when you hit the brake, you release the little ratchet lock down on the floor. And unfortunately, the farmhands left it heading toward the river. Me and the tractor are going into the river, and we do go into the river. So life is life. Drowning is the least of my problems. I wish I would drown. The old man is not nice under any circumstances, and he's going to be a whole lot worse today. The tractor go missing. Now, this was a stupid thing to do. But I am not dumb enough to tell anyone I did this. No. I'm not going to tell them. 3 days went by. Farm came to halt without a tractor, so I got a problem in critical thinking. I need to tell people where the tractor is without telling them I did it. And if I know where it is, I had to have done it. That is a very difficult problem. So I'm looking at this wooden lawn furniture up by the house. I look at the lawn furniture, and I look back at the tractor and say, oh, my goodness, I'll go down the barn, I get a chain. Got my little boat, and I chained the lawn furniture to the tractor. So the lawn furniture is floating in the river. The old man thinks this is incredibly weird, but it don't matter. He got to go and get his furniture back. He can't get it back. It's chained to something. And that's why I told the world where the tractor is, and I had no part of that. And the farmhands took all the heat, because a 7-year-old ain't got the imagination. The farmhands privately said to me, little story Musgrave, you're one little brilliant son of a gun. You know, you're going places in life. So that's me, man. My whole life I had to survive. So I've been working on survival. And so, there's me right there, a product of child labor. So who's Story Musgrave? I'm a product of child labor, teenage Marine. That set the stage for everything else I ever did in life. Product of child labor, teenage Marine. Now, that farmhand, this is 1943, that farmhand thinks he's going to make the knot tire, the twine knots, see the twine around them bales? He thinks he's going to fix that, but he can't fix it. But he got someone who can't fix it, that right there. So, it don't tie to the thing. I learned how to pull a little extra twine out and get ready. If it didn't tie the knot, I am needle nose pliers doing this, and I tie the knots in dust so heavy that I can't even see my own hands, and if I leave my hands in the action too long, they're going to stay there permanently. I'm a product of child labor, man. Dad is 8 years old that I'm doing this kind of business right here, but it's who I am. And I'm glad. I had to have done this. I wouldn't be a WGU if I hadn't done that. I put that to work. By age 9, I'm driving everything. And they never showed me. Just go do a story. Go plant a field. Go do this. Go do that. At 9, I'm driving everything. There's a truck going down the state road. The state police stopped the truck going down the road. There's no head. No one driving the truck. They got to stop the truck, find out who's driving it. They open the door. Young man, you can't be 16. No, I'm 12. Be careful, son, please. Be careful. Tickets don't work. The kid don't know what a ticket is. He can be back driving the truck tomorrow. And so, yeah, that's the way that one went. Now, that's my 1859 house right there. And, of course, there's maples. And in New England, they're the most powerful red in New England. Even if you go the same latitude in Europe, it's not the same kind of thing. But this is going to lead to something. I'm 13 years old. And look at this. A little aside, and I'll have a side where I jump ahead because it's relative at the point, and then I'll come back to the storyline. So this is changing of the leaves in just east of Salt Lake City. So from space, that is the changing of the leaves here in Utah. And so back to the story. So with all those maples around, I'm only 13 years old. What are we going to do with this? I got maple trees. I'm going to make maple syrup. So with an auger bit like this, a cone, you drill a little hole in there, you put the spout in there, and you hang the bucket on there, with a big thaw of the spring. The sap runs into the bucket. You pour it into a milk can, old milk can. And then I did all the maples on a hillside so I could put the cans on a toboggan and roll down the hill. I didn't have all those fancy pipes and all the rest of that stuff, but I'm 13, and this is back in the 1940s. And that's, how do you make maple syrup? You got a fire, you got a convective pipe, and you got this. You put the syrup in there and it flows like this, gets thicker and thicker. And so you keep that fire going. There was a lumber mill nearby. I got that for nothing. I built my whole steamer with leftover roofing materials and leftover construction materials. So you pour the sap in there, gets thicker and thicker. When it gets here, you weigh it to see if it meets spec. You put it in a can. That's not mine. I didn't have that kind of can. But I was in the maple syruping business at age 13. Now, riding my bike around the county, I found these farmers, just a handful of farmers, and they got this pasture. It's not an airport. They got a pasture, and they keep little airplanes there. They got a shed. They got a fuel tank. And I said, my goodness, I'll go to work here. The only ethic I know is to work. I know no other ethic. I only know to work. If you're some situation, go to work. I said, the airplanes are fun. I'll work here. So I just went to work for nothing, of course, pump gas, wash, mow. But the farmers looking at this kid, and they liked this kid, so every time the farmers went flying, they took me with them. So I'm flying all the time, month after month. I just get all this flying in. The farmer lands the airplane one time, and he's leaving. I says, where are you going, sir? He says, have a nice ride story. I guess he means for me to take it by myself. He does. Away I go. And, of course, turned out fine, because I've been learning over the months. I knew how to master machinery. So that is how my flying career now began roughly 70 years ago. Okay, my farm went under. The farm went broke. So I left. I left the farm and I left school. I simply left, pack your bags and leave. So I'm going across the United States, and I run into Lexington, Kentucky, and I run into the horse farms. The whole city is surrounded by horse farms like this. This was unbelievably important to me at that time. I don't know. Where am I going? What am I going to do? Is there any future vision at all? And I says, man, this is me. I can't own it, but I can work there, and I'll work my up to be the supervisor and the manager and do that for a while, and then I'm going to have my horse farm. So I'm going to raise thoroughbred horses. It's incredibly important as a teenager to have some idea, something that's out there that you got a passion for, some light at the end of the tunnel. So, man, that's where I'm going. And I tried to get employed here, but a migrant teenager has a hard time getting a job. It's a runaway teenager, and they're not going to hire you, so I couldn't get employed there at the time. So it's back to Massachusetts, building the Massachusetts Turnpike. And so I got into heavy construction equipment. They don't know I know anything, so it's just the grease, fitting, and oil. It's just 4 in the morning, grease, fitting, and oil. But they found out I know mechanics because I learned mechanics. It's part of my heart and my soul. When you learn something as a child, it's part of you. It made you. It wired you. It's very important. Great skier, when you take up skiing, before I could walk. When you take up piano, 4. It's very important. So I moved on, and I got into a lot more stuff. Preventive maintenance, all heavy construction equipment. But we finished the Mass Turnpike, so I'm temporarily out of a job, and I never finished school. So when you have no job and you have no education, you do this. So, any Marines in the crowd? It's okay. Well, I know we're professional these days. Back then, man, that's the way you got in the Marines. Or the judge told you, go to jail or go to the Marines. So that's my motor. I got 3,000 horsepower now. I'm an engine mechanic, and man, I'm good. So I'm an engine mechanic looking after this big machine here. And that's my base in K6, Korea. That's the airfield. There's my AD Sky Raiders, Douglas AD Sky Raiders. That's my sweet baby. That's my baby. Been abused beyond imagination. It's never seen a hangar. We don't have runways. It's on the mud and the muck. That's the life it's had in going to war. But within months, I became a crew chief. The crew chief is the person that coordinates all the other maintenance specialties. I sign them off, but I go to the head shed. I put a green check mark on that airplane, and I say it's airworthy to go to war. I'm certifying a military airplane as okay to go to war with one stripe. That's Private Musgrave at age of 18 is certifying military. Now you see where the mechanical, you see where the discipline, you see the world. And that's one reason I went so fast in the Marines. Creativity to farm kid. How do I feel that machine? How do I know it's wrong? What do I got to do? But never creative when I touch the machine. That discipline is only the way they taught you or by the book. Because if you do it different, it's not going to respond the way it should. You got to keep that pedigree process, that pedigree machine. It's incredibly hard to do that out here. So that's my base. I had no hanger. I had no toolbox. I know what a toolbox is. It's colored red. It's that tall. You pull a draw, and here's all the nice wrenches. I don't have one of them. I have to beg tools around the base. And I got to work out here, and the check stand's looking like that right there. But that is the kid. When it's time to go fly, you're in the pilot's lounge, and that's the kid that comes and knocks on the door, let's go, sir. And so you walk the pilot out, you carry his gear, and you walk him out to the airplane. He doesn't pre-flight the airplane, you do. That's Marine Corps rules. I set the switches in the cockpit too. If you got to go fast, the pilot runs out and hits the start button and away you go. So I got that kind of responsibility too. Strap them in, away you go. So the pilot goes off now. One day this pilot went off, he never came home. My airplane didn't come home either. No one told me why. Did my airplane let him down? No, he just didn't come home. They just assigned, Private Musgrave to a different airplane. You got a different airplane for tomorrow. Okay, the second time that happened to me, I understood what the game is. And when I'm stepping off the wing, I hope the pilot couldn't read my face, but I'm looking back at him saying, is this goodbye, sir, or are you coming home? So I got down to that. We left K6 Korea, and those are my Douglas 8D Skyraiders going by, of course, classical iconography. And we're going on board a carrier, the USS Wasp. So there we are. It's a straight deck for you Navy people. And so here we go. Now that's my motor, that's my machine. It's got to perform. We didn't have the catapults back then. The catapults that launch airplanes, you flew to the end and you went swimming or you went flying, one of the two. So that's my kind of world right there. That's the kind of world I had in the carrier, and too often we did end up in the water. Now that pilot's going to get out by my brother. My brother was flying on the same carrier, the Wasp, the same AD Skyraider. He went in the water, but he hit too hard and the carrier ran over him. So my brother died doing the same thing that I did. So I ended up on Kaneohe, the windward side of Oahu Island, BMA 212 right here. Ended up there. That was my final tour on the base there. So that's Kaneohe, and I was there twice just a month ago. I keep up with the Marines. I was at Miramar, north of San Diego, 2 months ago. I was given safety for HMX-1 to fly the President helicopter before that. So I keep up with the Marines. And the important lesson is whatever you did in life, keep up with it, stay with it. There's attributes the Marines have you can take to other companies, other universities, and other industries. You stay up on the Marines because you can teach other people some of the attributes they got in the way they do business. So you hang on, like my figured out, get the job done, learn, and take it with you. I take the Marines with me. It's just part of who I am. But I have to leave the Marines, at least temporarily, because out of high school diploma, I can't go anywhere. I can't go anywhere. I don't even have a high school, so I got to get some education. So one of my favorite pilots, he said, try Syracuse. Syracuse University. Oh, you think I could go to a university? We'll try. Okay, I'll go to university. He said, Syracuse. I'll go to Syracuse. That's simple enough. I'm not going to do anything else. He said, Syracuse. I go to Syracuse. It's the way I work. So I'll go to Syracuse. Problem is they didn't take me, but I showed up anyway. The fact they didn't take me, and that's not a showstopper. No, I'm on a quadrant here, walking around talking to people. I didn't get in this place, but I'm here ready to go to school. What should I do? And after, someone told me the dean. The dean's office take care of that. Oh, the dean. I'll go see the dean. I knock on the dean's door. I said, sir, I'm product of child labor. I never finished high school, just came back from the Marines. I'm here and I'm ready to go to work. Okay, he didn't hesitate 1 second. He took one snapshot of me and he said, of course, sir. He walked me out front and said, matriculate this gentleman. And that was it. But he can't turn this human down. You can't turn this kid down. Do you understand the emotions the dean going through? He's tired of 4.0s. I mean, he's got them all week long. But this thing, I'll take a chance. I'll take a chance on this kid. My brother never finished school. He went to Marines too. And he came out and says, I'm stuck. I don't know. I try Syracuse. Well, we know how that turns out. Yeah, come on. And I got a 30-year-old kid. He did stupid things, and man, he got busted out of school, so he didn't finish school. He said, no, try Syracuse. It's that's the way you go. Of course, we know how that turns out. But anyway, the lesson there is there's other ways to get there in life, and you don't take no for an answer. That is a child gate. That is to stop the kids from going up the stairs. So you're getting some lessons on how to do life? Don't take no for an answer. Now, I've been trying to survive my whole life. I got to do these details. You know, who's going to eat on me? Who's going to bite me? How am I going to die? I just been worried about all these, how to survive life. So I did get onto, as a kid, the factors that are going to affect the outcome of what I'm trying to do. It's factors. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you're attempting to do. I don't care what. You must identify the factors that are going to influence you for better or for worse on how you get to the finish line, how you get the job done. It's just the factors. But I got to university, and I says, my goodness, if you can quantitate the factors, there's a math and a statistic which will handle it. So I got into this stuff. The 20-year-old farm kid ex-Marine that got into this kind of math and statistics. But I love that. I'm a multivariate thinker, multivariate purpose, and I've been ever since I got into this. I love this kind of stuff. It made sense to me. And so how do you deal with all these variables you're trying to deal with? Well, I love the university fine, but I miss my Marine Corps waves. So I went to look at, is there active reserve in Syracuse? Did I have a Marine Corps active reserve? And they did. They don't have any airplanes for me, but they got tanks. So I drove tanks going through college. I'll drive anything. You know, you say a tank ain't much fun. It's got an 810 horsepower V12. Well, you know, it can't get any better than that. You're starting to figure out who I am? Yeah. I wasn't supposed to work on a tank, so my tank break, I work on it and fix that thing too. And of course, I'm doing this here too. It's got tracks, it got treaded, a farm kid, I mean, my goodness. So doing that too. Now, I'm going to college, but the money is rolling in so heavy, I got to do some of the money. Some of the money is in the bank, but some of the money is just cash everywhere. I got cash under the mattress, cash in the bureau, I got cash everywhere. I got to do something with all this cash. You know, I got cash. What's all the cash stuff? Well, a farm kid, what's a farm kid do? A farm kid throws things. It's 50-pound bales when you weigh 50 pounds. It's 50-pound bundles of hay. It's 50-pound bags of grain. What does a farm kid do? You'll throw stuff. Okay, where are we going to go with that? How are we going to leverage throwing stuff? Freshman in high school, I took up on the wrestling team. The rest of the kids take up weightlifting. I'm 5 years ahead of them, and they can't catch me. I'm undefeated for 4 years. How are you going to beat this kid? You can't. So after Marine Corps combat training, I got to say, oh, Syracuse got a wrestling team. Well, my goodness me. Marine Corps combat training, all that wrestling, all the rest of that stuff. As a freshman, I made the varsity right off, varsity wrestling team. Well, my goodness. And they liked me, so they gave me a scholarship. It's called room, board, and tuition. I see. So the hay bales and the corn bags and all the rest of that stuff, it's room, board, and tuition at college. You see how life goes now? You see, you just keep leveraging that thing like that. Well, the GI Bill from the Marines. The GI Bills from the Marine Corps, they are also paying for everything too, and they don't talk at each other. So I get it twice. The tank's paying for the whole thing, and the bulldozer's paying for the whole thing. I'm making 4 times the money I need to go to school. Now, you getting some ideas? You getting some ideas how to do life? I got to spend the money somewhere, so I spend it on this. Don't give me credit for getting the classic. 60 years of Corvette 58's the classic. It just was around when I got to spend the money on something. And of course, I got to get under it, I got to work on it, I got to drive it. So that was my start in Corvettes. Here's what I have today. So I have a 1994 today. The simplest Corvette in 60 years. It's just simple. It's simple, elegant. It's a different kind of style than some of the other Corvettes. And so the inside too is just, you just drive it. There's no computers, there's no nothing. You just drive that machine. So that's what I'm into today. It's 25 years old. I took up flying too. There's plenty of money left over. So I took up flying too. There's no space program now. Not yet, it's coming decades later. So I took up flying. It was very serious, got all my ratings and that. So I owned a 150 for you pilots. I owned a 172. This is my Beechcraft T-34A from the Air Force. So I owned that one for 15 years too. Okay. It's go to industry as a mathematician for a short while, then off to UCLA to do what's called operations research. But that was the precursor to systems design, systems engineering. It's just deal with the complex factors of life. It's what kind of math and how do you deal systematically with these things. So I got into big computer too. IBM 709, That was a vacuum tube processor. I know no one in the room knows what a vacuum tube is. Oh, somewhere. Oh, you do, ma'am. Okay. I'll come back. So I was an operator, compiler, assembler on the big computers, along with my operations research. But man, so I was a good operator. I was good at maintenance too. When a vacuum tube burned out, I could look at the signature. I knew where to go. Out of thousands of vacuum tubes, I knew where I had to go. I'm putting practical kinds of stuff to work. From the computers, if you want to call it a machine intelligence, I got interested in what goes on in the head. You know, how's the brain work? So my curiosity, you know, I need to figure out how the brain works. I should have said, leave it alone, story. You're already in a great field. I can't leave it alone. You think that kid can leave this alone? You can't. Whatever it is, you can't leave it alone. See, this is it. That's what drives you in life. This intense interest, this curiosity only for the sake of curiosity. It's not for any gain. I'm curious about that thing, and doggone it, I'm going to go explore it. So away we go. It's another big fork in the road. So that fork is in Pasadena, California. I'm a professor at Art Center College for Design. I don't know why the fork is there, but I need it because there's a fork and there's roads. So it's a fork in the road. Well, I'm driving from the West Coast to the East. The simplest way I can get. I'm going to medical school, but I got no pre-med courses. I got to take pre-med courses. I'll go back to Syracuse. I'm already registered. I'll just jump in, do the courses. Well, I crossed the Ohio River here into Marietta, 250 years old. I says, my goodness, one gorgeous town. It's beautiful. Elms, brick streets. And my goodness, there's a college there too. It's a beautiful looking college. I love this place. So I drove around until I found a building that looked like administration. I went in there. I says, well, you got pre-med courses here? He said, of course we do, sir. I mean, we're a college. Well, do you have an application? Yeah, we got one of those too. Okay, that's it. I went to Marietta. I don't know. How's that going to affect my career? Will it get me? I don't know. I love this place, and that's it, folks. It's over. I'll go here. So at times I can be impulsive. Okay, applying to medical school, I filled out their forms and took their test. But I laid one sheet on top of the whole thing, and I said, you don't have to read further. This is who I am, and it's what I'm doing for you. I got accepted to every single medical school in this country with that kind of application. They understood. He will figure it out, and he's going to get it done, whatever it takes to get there. That's the kind of skill set that it is bringing. So I ended up going to Columbia. Now, this is New York City, of course, George Washington Bridge, Columbia Presbyterian Medical Center. The first week going to school, going to class, there's a door, neurosurgical research lab. I says, that's me. That's where I'm going. You knock on the door, I want to work here. Want to work here? Who are you? I'm a freshman medical student. We don't have medical students in here. We have postdoc fellowships and professors. Yeah, but I need to work here. They're looking at me funny. I'll work for nothing, you're hired. So if you don't get to work for nothing, I'll wash the bottles. Okay. We are going to be the first group in the world to stick an electrode in a single cell and stimulate different parts of the brain and start working out that circuitry. Now, this is way back, it's 1960 that we're going to do this stuff in. So you're going to get those kind of potentials. Nerve cells are electrically active kind of things. The way you do that is you take capillary tubes like this, capillary tube, you put a certain tension and a certain heat in the middle, and you stretch that tube out until you make an electron. I know I'm doing some details here, but it pays off in terms of our message. So here's a perfect electrodes. Now that's a machine. You can set the heat in and you set the tension and hit the button. Well, the professors aren't getting anywhere. They're just not getting anywhere. They can't create nice electrodes. I tried. That doesn't work either. So these professors need electrodes. I took the whole machine apart. I put the tube under a microscope where I could watch the process. I took the rheostat that controls the tension in this hand, that does heat in this hand. I got the heat, I got the tension, and I'm watching the process. I could create any electrode I wanted to. I'm handing the professors electrodes, and they say, that's perfect, story, that's a gorgeous one. Or this next kind, not so good. I got where I could look at the configuration, the shape of an electrode, and tell what's the perfect ones. I'm handing these professors perfect electrodes every time. Okay, see, so I got the thing going. And the manipulators. So you're after, it's just 1 micron. It's 1 micron. You're chasing after this one little nerve cell. Professors are going like this, but I'm watching the process. The whole brain is moving up and down. It's moving up and down based on the arterial pulsation, and a heck of a lot more than 1 micron, so they can't get there. So what I did is, I came off the electrocardiogram, and I fed that into a device on the manipulator, which would rotate the little motor, which would rotate the heels along with the EKG. So the electrode, as the brain moves up and down, the electrode moves with it. I got the whole thing going. Then I started doing the surgery. Come in at 5 in the morning and do the surgery. So from that point on, the first month I joined that lab, I was on every single published paper for the next 4 years, and I'm doing my own research. But the important lesson, and this was luck. This was luck. This background turned out what the lab needed was not a great scientist to start with. The lab needed a pragmatist, mechanically practical person. And I lucked out in the door that I knocked on and went in. It needed me. So there's a huge amount of luck in life too. I hate to say it, but there is luck. There's bad luck and there's good luck. And I've had a lot of good luck. So I took this up during medical school. Don't call me a nutcase yet. Not yet. So I love to fall. I love to fly. I love to do those kind of things. Okay, how do you get good? It is engaged interaction with the whole world. It is engaged interaction with the participants, the other people doing it, with the publications, with the books. What are the industry standards? Other kind of domains. So what you do is, you got to be good at this. But it is another playing field for Story Musgrave to get this thing right, to educate me in the aerospace world about how to do things right. So I'm moving along some path. Now, there's still no space program yet. So that's Lakewood Sport Parachuting Center in Lakewood, New Jersey. So we got together, and we kept raising the bar and raising the standards on how good we can get. When I left medical school and had to leave them for geographic reasons, we had 300,000 jumps and 0 fatalities. So the odds are 0. The odds are 0 in 300,000. That's as far as I go. I told you to loosen up. They told me don't wear a sweater. They said when you get 200 people in here, it's going to warm up. It did. Okay, so those are the kind of odds. Okay, I need to train in surgery now. I finished medical school. I need to do my internship residency and train in surgery. I can't get the horses out of my mind. I told myself, when I visited Lexington, I was going to be a horse farmer. The first time I can, in whatever career I have, I'm coming back to Lexington. So surgical training, I've already approved for a neurosurgical residency back at Columbia. I can go wherever I want. Well, I'm going back to horse country. It doesn't make any sense, but it's how I got where I got. Not making sense. Okay, so University of Kentucky Medical Center, brand new medical center, and it'll be the first internship class. So this incredible man was the first chief of surgery. I interviewed with him, and it's over. My God, I followed this man to the end of the world. He was just outrageously good, a leader and good. I did not know at the time, but he was a Harvard graduate in World War II. He did the beachheads with the Marines. He ain't waiting back at MASH. He's not back in the hospitals. He went on shore with the Marines to take care of them when they got hit. He was that kind of person. I followed him to the end of the world, and he's gonna be in my life for 35 years. So I'm in that surgical training, and I read in Science magazine, National Academy of Science and NASA putting their heads together about flying people, formerly trained astronauts in space, formerly trained scientists. And my first reaction was, leave me alone. Don't you do that to me. I mean, I'm trying to grow up. I'm trying to stay doing something. I mean, leave me alone. No, that's me. That program may happen, may not happen, and I may not get in, but I'm going for it. So I told him at the end of the year, I won't be there. But you leap off. When something new happens, do you leap off from where you are or do you hang on? No, I can't afford to hang on. National Academy is going to be looking for scientists, so I have to increase my scientific skills. And I did it right, because we had 6,000 people with doctorates. Only 7 of those 6,000 ended up in space. I'm working bad odds. So I got to get in with the science. So that's NASA. It's another huge fork in the road. And off to postdoc fellowship and in a graduate course in biological physics. So my device I came up with, it flew on a shuttle, flew on the International Space Station. So I'm increasing my academic skills. I took a minor in aeronautical engineering, which of course is NASA. So we, graduate school, we had to come up with a class project. So my class project was the aerodynamics of the free-falling human body. They had no data on that. It's how do you fly like an airplane? Best LOVD and the rest of the aerodynamic characteristics. So I turned a hobby into a scientific project, and the data we got back in '64 is good as any around. So that's what I did. I have no stories to tell you from parachuting. It all came out the way it was supposed to because I insisted upon that. So I have a family. I got 5 kids now. 5 kids. So I guess that didn't come up in the video. I have 7 children now. So I got 7 kids. The oldest 57, the youngest 11. You can laugh. It's okay. But don't forget, I'm here talking about tomorrow. It may not be over. You got to loosen up. I got serious about my flying. I took up soaring, that's my sailplane, and towed gliders. I did air shows in my blanket decathlon. And air show is the toughest thing I ever did in life. Story, what's the hardest thing I ever did? It's this. It's punishing on the body, and it's punishing on the mind, and it's discipline, it's procedures, and it's just rough. And a little airplane like that will turn on a dime, you know. And you perfect your show up here, and you bring it down and down until you're at the show altitude. And when you're at show altitude, every maneuver you do is an earth avoidance maneuver. That's the bottom line. It's how to avoid the earth and get the maneuver done. So, but you see what I'm doing? Okay, I did make it into NASA. So a couple years before Apollo started flying, I did make it into NASA. Now this is incredible, man. When I moved to NASA, he moved to Denver General. And he became chief at Denver and University of Colorado Health. There's Denver General. Now, as soon as he moved, he called me up on the phone. He likes me. He just likes me getting the job done, you know, and the way I think, how practical and pragmatic. He says, Story Musgrave, if you can break away from the NASA 3 days a month, I'm going to turn you into a trauma surgeon. And I said, man, there's another fork in the road. Yes, that's what I should do, trauma surgery. And it fits the NASA model better, and I can bring aerospace procedures more into that world. So, for the next 26 years, I went to Denver General up here 3 or 4 days, and we did trauma surgery. That's a modern picture. When he and I got there, we weren't doing well because a badly hurt fireman that fell 3 stories or a bad auto accident, that patient will come in and the team's just sitting waiting. The doctor's got to tell them what to do or they're not going to move. Doctor, the boss. The doctor's focusing on where the patient's injured. I can't save their life until I find out where they're hurt, and I'll fix that. So the patient dies. And it kept on happening. Patient comes in, they just sit around, let the patient die, and out you go. So I need to do better than that. I need to do better than that. So I got to focus on something different. So the record in NASCAR and Indy is 2.4 seconds to change 4 tires. It's the record. I don't believe it, but that's the record. 2.4 seconds and you change 4 tires. Hey, they're not waiting on the doctor to tell them what to do. You see what I'm going to do? I'm going to automate that process. What can I automate that doesn't need decision? Just darn it, get that job done. So I look at this crew and I says, I'm going to turn my emergency room into this. But see, it's almost self-evident thinking. But you see how Story Musgrave thinks. So that's the way I think. Let's see, I think like this. I did a care, I think like this. There's no person in this room, there's no person in this audience on the internet at all that can't learn and be inspired by what you're seeing right here. The allocation of the task, the training, the precision, the choreography, the procedure, the checklist, bang, bang, it's just gorgeous what is going on there. You can learn from that, and you can bring that to your company and into your industry. But I'm looking at that and it says, that's my emergency room right there. And so that's it. Trauma surgery, the first response. So I don't care where you're hurt. I need 2 things. I'm changing the objective. I need oxygenated blood to the heart and to the head. If you ain't got a heart, you're not there. The head, after 2 minutes, it's going to start getting the permanent damage. At 4 minutes, it's dead. I need you to take care of 2 things. I need to take care of that and that. I don't care where you're hurt. I'm going to save your life, even if you're trying to go. I take care of that and I take care of that. Oxygenated blood flow to there and there. And it's driven by what kind of plumber you are. I don't need doctors. I don't need nurses. I need what kind of plumber you are, because I'm trying to pump blood to these two places. You see, I've simplified the objective, and I've simplified how you're going to go about this process. So I built me, just like hair, built me a color-coded team. Me, I don't do nothing. I just sit around, watch my team go to work. So, yellow, you're the physiologist. Bang, the patient comes in yellow. You put all the leads on, how are we doing? Are we winning or losing? Do we have flow, blood flow, oxygenated blood flow? Do we have that going to the right place? Stop the blood. You're only there for one reason. You stop that blood loss. You stop the blood loss, you're red. You're the red person, and your red checklist on that wall. Yellow person, yellow checklist, green checklist on that wall, you see? I'm just procedures. Get the job done. Fluid replacement, that's it. Oxygenation, okay, so you understand the process. So things went a lot better after I automated what I could. I continue to give lectures at the University of Kentucky. Lectures in biological physics, physiology, and that kind of stuff. Now, NASA going to send me to the Air Force. I'm seeing I'm doing fine in the timeline. So, and NASA going to send me to the Air Force. I don't have military wings, and when I joined, back in the mid-'60s, they wanted every person to be a military pilot. And I don't have military wings. They sent me to the Air Force to get wings, and I could not afford jets. I have an airline transport rating. I'm a very experienced pilot, and I got all the ratings. But I have no jet experience, couldn't afford jets. Okay, they send me to the Air Force, just give it to me. It's another give it to me, baby. You know, it's give it, that's you go through life. You jump on a playing field, here's what I got, give it to me, baby. It's a learning experience. Man, I'll be Air Force. Yes, I'm a Marine, but I'll be Air Force. So Air Force, Marine, that turns into some kind of hybrid, and it's better than either one. So that's what you do. That's what you do in life. I'll be Coast Guard too, it's okay. So, and that's it. You jump in there, and you jump in the curriculum, and away you go. You jump in the curriculum, and away you go. And so, that's first airplane. The second one ended up in this one. Now, the instructors, we're learning from each other during the day. During the evenings, we're learning from each other, but they're getting their airline transport ratings so they can join the airlines. So during the day, they're doing most of the instruction. During the evening, I do most. So we share. We share who's a student instructor, but it doesn't matter. We're raising the bar for each one. That's what it's all about, incredible. I ended up in this Northrop T-38 with the Air Force. It was an easy transition back to NASA, to this airplane here. And so the Northrop T-38, because the NASA squadron was half of these and half of these. So you want to fly that, or you want to fly this? Nobody would fly this one. So I have that all to myself. And that's the only one I stay in. Why? Because it's going away. It's a 1948. NASA not going to keep an antique. So that is a learning opportunity. That's WGU. That's the university training. It's going to go away. I want to get that machine. See, that's what I'm after. I'm not after slick and fast. I'm after education. I'm after the broadest education in aeronautics and flying that I can get. That's what you're doing live. So that's the kind of cockpit. That's incredibly basic, fundamental. But you learn the fundamentals of flying. You're not doing a computer, it's the fundamentals of where you put the nose and where you put the throttle. There's only two things to fly an airplane. It's where you put the nose and where you put the throttle. That's it. There's nothing else. So that's the basics of flying. You add navigation, you got the whole thing. So that airplane is teaching me really fundamental flying, which I will never forget. So you do this one because it's a superior education which is going away. I continue to be an airplane mechanic, going to the flight line at NASA. I go through the hangar. I'll see someone working on a system that I don't understand at that level, so I work on it for them. And sometimes there's some system, I call them up, when you work on this, give me a call. So when I throw some switch in the cockpit, in my head are all the circuit breakers, all the things, all the solenoids, and the whole path to the end effector. I have the whole picture of everything. You turn a knob, you do anything in the airplane, in my head is the whole picture. So that's the way I think about things. That's the way I take things apart. That's the way I've learned things my whole life. It's beautiful even on jacks. So, of course, I got the job of being the only astronaut to be the maintenance test pilot in the Northrop T-38. A maintenance test pilot is when an airplane been under critical maintenance. That's the engines, the flight controls, hydraulics, that kind of stuff, or a periodic inspection, pieces all over the floor. The mechanics put it back together, and I fly it to see if it works the way it's supposed to work. That's my job. And, of course, they wanted me doing that because of the way I understand airplanes and the way I bring it back, the kinds of tests that I run. And maintenance test model is very simple. You set up initial conditions, and then you perturb the airplane, and you measure its response. But that's some of the best flying I ever did. Every time I went to fly with NASA, I carried a camera. I don't know where that's going. I don't know. Airplanes are beautiful things, and they're taking me to great places. It's just value added, so I'll carry a camera. And so this gorgeous machine, this is the object. I photographed it for 45 years. I shot that airplane. It's an incredible object. It's still flying today. It's 60 years old. It's an incredible triumph of design. Why? Because you can't improve upon it. After 60 years, you can't do better. Here's some of my photography. This is with ASA 64. No one in this room knows what ASA is. No, it's slow film. I went digital, but you know, when you're photographer back in the mid-60s, you didn't have digital. I just lucked out. So yes, luck followed me around. And so I got a sunset going on. I got the optical characteristics of the canopy, and probably my circular polarizing filter is what ended up in this kind of rainbow canopy. Now, at this point, I know I'm going to do a book. I'm going to do a book dedicated to this Northrop T-38, this gorgeous machine. So I'm looking for various scenarios that I can photograph it in. Well, UPS got this hangar in Ellington Field, Houston. There's no glass there, but I looked at UPS's hangar, and I says, that reminds me of some kind of cathedral, and the clouds are like a stained glass window. So I need to put my airplane. So I asked UPS if I could borrow their hangar for a day, and they said, of course. I usually get my way. Being nice, give them a cup of coffee, tell them what you're doing. And they said, man, that's exciting. And so me and the mechanics put my T-38s in there, and that's what you'll get. This is a very special view, this over the engines and the tail there. But that's what I call my stained glass window in the picture. Now, I'm still up to my tricks here. Down at Kennedy Space Center, me and mechanics arrange my T-38s. That's what I want a picture of. But we arrange it because we put them here because there'll be a night launch of the shuttle there. So I'm going to have the shuttle light up my airplanes. You see what I'm after? Some people say I cheat. Well, maybe I do. But God. And so there you go. And so I did cheat a little bit. I put a little spotlight on this side. I wasn't sure all the lighting would light, so we got both lights. But that's my night launch, and of course, I'm after the T-38s in my book. I did the very same thing. It's a different launch pad, so I couldn't line up quite as well. But I'm getting pictures. I just want a great backdrop for my T-38s in my book that I'm doing. Well, now you watch. You see that launch plume? It did that for me. It wrapped around itself over my airplanes. So the sun is cooperating, it always does, and I got a sunset on the launch plume and T-38s departing in the night. So life happens. But what's the lesson? Get on the playing field and get ready. No one got that picture. You get on the playing field because you don't know what life is going to hand you. Just be ready to grab it. That's what it's about. Be ready to grab it. So it's just outrageous beauty. So launch plumes do that. I got a whole hour-long program on launch plumes, but we can't go there tonight. Don't you dare say Photoshop. Don't you dare say Photoshop. The most spectacular, I've got the transparencies, the most spectacular rainbow I ever saw in my life. I landed here on a Sunday. That's why no one on a flight line. I'm trying to leave, and I get in the car, and there's a strange light going on. I look over my shoulder. Oh, dear me. So I got a Hasselblad, and thank goodness I left some film. Why would I leave films for a flight line? I should have been shooting it. No. Luckily, I was lazy. I had 8 frames left, so there you go. And that's the book I ended up doing to celebrate its 50th anniversary. So on we go to the moon. I got into spacewalking immediately, even before Apollo flew. Here I'm testing an Apollo capsule, taking it to a vacuum down at Kennedy Space Center. You always tested the capsules twice in a vacuum with humans in them. I got more vacuum time than any human in history, one way or the other. I guess that's not something to brag about. But I got lots of vacuum time, starting way back before Apollo. Well, how you get into spacewalking? Like this. You leverage your past. Like I said, everything you've ever done in life, take it with you. leverage it and put it to work. And so a spacewalker has to do mechanics. You're out there to do work. A spacewalker does work. So that's your mechanical work. And so you look, you've seen my history, farm construction, all the rest of that. Now, as a doctor, I understand the ergonomics of work and the human factors. I understand I got a body, the suit got a body, and they're not the same body. How are you going to make those play together? So the ergonomics, the medical stuff, and as a physiologist, you put a helmet on, you breathe what the system gives you. Your carbon dioxide, whatever it takes away, and your temperature is what the system wants it to be. So you are a closed loop, and you are victim or benefit of the physiology your closed loop system wants to give you. And choreography, building a plan, building procedures, and all that there. And of course, the upper body strength on 5. We got to the moon, onto the shuttle program. I picked up the Hubble Space Telescope in 1975. That's 18 years before I went to fix it. 18 years. Story Musgrave, yes, sir. But putting a big telescope in space, they never name. You identify every failure they get into and how you fix it with a spacewalk. So that's what I'm going to do. You look over every machine, how that big machine going to turn out, and you identify every possible failure it can happen and how you'll fix it with a spacewalk. So I spent 18 years on the machine doing that. And of course, I got to do it looking like this. Bulky in a suit that's not got the same body as mine. I got a great shoulder joint. It does not. It's 480 pounds of mass. No, it doesn't weigh up there, but it's got, you think you're going to be a nimble little squirrel, get 480 pounds moving in the free fall environment. So that's anything you want to do in life. So the intricacies, the factors, failures, causes, and consequences. What are you going to do about this system? Everything going to work as a system. So recover that system. So this is Challenger's first flight. I was on Challenger's first flight, and I did the first shuttle spacewalk on Challenger because I helped design the spacesuits. You look at my background. You look at starting with child labor all the way through. I was designed for this job. I was designed, you know, spacesuits, physiology, medicine, work, all the rest of that stuff. So I was the first person out the door in the shuttle program. And after the Challenger accident, I was the lead person on revising all procedures and all checklists to be sure there was no deviation in the future, that we really stayed on the course that we should have stayed on. But that's 2 years of hard paperwork coming up with the right way to operate this system. Back on the telescope, I need something to play with. I need something physical to play with, not just my paperwork. And so I came up with a balloon telescope. It's called a prototype. So that's a balloon telescope, and that's a balloon story. So the robotic arm moves the story around. And so story's doing the work. But this gave me more ideas, and it proved out some of my procedures until I could get real hardware to deal with. Finally, I can get in the water tank and do some, I do some real work. The water's good because it's three-dimensional. You can move around three-dimensional. What it's really good for is, you spacewalker, if you put a force in on something, that force coming back to your body. If I push 30 pounds here, my body's pushed 30 pounds this way, see? Or if I do this, that's coming on the body. So you have to be able to do those forces, and you have to be able to restrain your body to withstand those forces. What the water is not good for is how your suit's going to work. If I go upside down in my suit, I'm carrying 160 pounds on my collarbone. So the water is neutral buoyancy. It's not 0G. And so your suit is not going to behave the way it will out in space. So that's the difference. I was flying all these missions. I'm still doing Hubble. Started in 75, but I flew these other missions along the way. I was a Capcom in mission control for 25 missions. Maybe my contribution to NASA is more important. What I did with 25 missions in mission control, did my own flights. So it was just a gorgeous thing to do, the best decision-making process I have ever known. It's just a great way to conduct a mission or a corporation or a ship. Here's Hubble down at Kennedy Space Center. We launched that thing. And within a couple of months, we had to sign up for the fact we put the wrong mirror in the telescope. It was a great mirror, but it wasn't the right one, so it didn't work. Now, this is a negligent, egregious kind of error. If you go to the internet, Hubble Mirror Accident Report, you will get a 70-page PDF in layman's terms on what quality is not, what supervision is not, what communication is not. There's nothing right about that story, but I can't go in any more deeper. But I got a mission now. Now I can focus on the 13 systems, including the mirror, that are broke. I don't have to do every possible failure. So now I was assigned to payload command and the lead mechanic to go and fix that thing, but I could focus on the 13 things which are broke. So I got a mission, got assigned to that about 20 months ahead of time, and so away we go. And I'm not just training, I got to build the procedures. So over the 18 years, I came up with 300 tools, thousands of pages of procedures, but now I got a mission. So come up with a checklist, come up with the procedures to get that done. So I think I got enough to do in life. But NASA is interested in, can they use the Cessna citations? So they're now going to have a squadron of half the T-38s, and they want to add citations to the fleet as a proficiency airplane. Somehow I get the job. Story Musgrave, you go and look at a citation and see if we should include the citation in our repertoire of training. So anyway, it's give it to me, baby. Here we go again. It's citation school. So you give yourself over to flight safety and you go. You just do the simulators. But I cheated here too because I got the key to the building. I'm flying the simulators all night long. So simulator time is, you know how it goes. You know, keep rolling down the road. First time you ever see an airplane, your check ride. 100% of the training, except your check ride was in the airplane. Now that's all changed. Now you never see the airplane. Your check ride is in the simulator too. So that's my citation world. But give it to me, baby. I just loved every minute. And every minute of flight safety. You give yourself in the line and away you go. Production line and just keep learning, man. Keep going down the road. Back to Hubble, focus, concentration in the moment. My family have been part of this. Just a nice place to show my daughter, Holly. They've been part of this process all along. See what I'm doing with NASA, see what I'm doing professionally, and that kind of stuff. In the water, I've spoken about what the water's good for and what it's not good for. But before I get in the water, I look at every diver. Anyone that sees a better way for me to do my work, you show me how you would do it. So they can't talk, but they can come in, they can push you off, and they show you with their hands how they would do it. So you empower. Yes, lead spacewalk on me for 25 years. Maybe a diver been on the job a month. He going to tell me how to work? Yes, he is. Because they know I mean business. I'm after the best solution. So you empower people to speak up. That's part of the game. It's engagement. Show me the right solution. I did the same thing in all surgery, you know. Okay, before we start anything. Anyone in this room that's uncomfortable with what we're doing, I want you to know. Tell me. Uncomfortable. Comfort's a great word. It's not legal. It's not analytical. It just means, you know, she's feeling something in her gut that she doesn't like this, and she's going to tell Story Musgrave. She don't like it, she's going to tell me. So you empower everyone in that room. If you're uncomfortable with what we're doing with this patient, I want to know that. I want to figure out why. Because your intuition's speaking. She will help you if you let her. Operating room nurse, been on the job right here for 30 years. She's seen what I'm doing in the hands of 100 surgeons. You know, she knows more about surgery than I do. Just get her help. She will, if you let her, empower people to speak up. I trained in the Smithsonian Museum, Washington, D.C. Now the Hubble's flying up there. The mock-ups they're giving me, they're not guaranteed to have the same measurements. This engineering qualification unit in the Smithsonian was guaranteed to have the same measurements. So I could take my tools and my instruments, like this, the magnetometer, I can see that the instrument is going to fit on this engineering qualification unit. I can see fit and function, the same metrology. So that's what I'm after. So I took the tools and the instruments I could to the Smithsonian. Now tomorrow I'm going to do the highest fidelity test there is, and that's to go in a vacuum chamber at flight temperatures and see how everything works. Now we know what a vacuum is. Flight temperature, to make the problem simple, me, spacewalker, I want a face full of Mother Earth. I want to be out here and I want Earth. Because even 400 miles up, Earth on average is 59 Fahrenheit. Yes, you got Florida, and yes, you got Alaska, and yes, you got night and day, and you got seasons. But as you go around the Earth, you integrate all of those things, and the average temperature is 59 Fahrenheit, and 400 miles up, my suit will be 59 Fahrenheit. It's just amazing that it works that way. But the blackness of space, it's 3 degrees Kelvin. It's minus 460 Fahrenheit. That's the background temperature of the universe, you astronomers, Colby. So if you give me the blackness of space, I'm out of the game in 10 minutes. And you say the sun's going to burn you up. The sun is 6,000 on the surface, but it's only the area of your thumbnail. Around it is 3 degrees Kelvin, and that comes out all right. So, but the mission was so complicated, the person that points the shuttle and telescope, he would not get me enough Mother Earth. He's asking me to run, and not him, but the chamber, run at minus 150 Fahrenheit. I said, minus 150 Fahrenheit ain't going to work. Tools won't work, and I can't work. I haven't got the insulation. I kept fighting with them about go back and get some more fuel and got more creative on the attitude so you get me enough Mother Earth to warm me up, and they would not. So, okay. So I ran at minus 150 Fahrenheit, and that's what happened. At 8 hours into the test, my fingers stung so bad, I had to work them out of the fingers. 8 hours, they got comfortable. Story, wake up. They didn't warm up this place, man. The reason they're comfortable, you don't feel anything. So as soon as I pulled, after 13 hours in there, I pulled my hand out, they're already black. So I got 8 dead fingers. I'm your lead spacewalker, 6 months before flight, and I got 8 dead fingers. Sent me to Alaska the next day. He was somewhat optimistic about how it was going to go, but I got back from Alaska, I got back in a suit. Sorry, Musgrave, you can't get in a spacesuit with fingers like that. I said, what's the choice, man? I'm still developing a mission. It's 6 months from now. And I said, you're going to lose too much. If I lose it, I'll shorten the fingers. So I know how to shorten the gloves, so I can shorten the gloves. So not only am I working the choreography, the design, and the plan of the mission and how I'm going to do things, but I have to work the alternatives on how much flesh I'm going to get, to handle the tool. So I'm working that too. So that was a slight complication. But it took me 5 years that was the end of the medical career, right there. That was the end of that. It took me 5 years to get decent hands where I could even pick up a pen off a desk. Okay, now they know. They got incredibly creative. I went to fly this mission toasty warm the whole time. They fixed that problem. It's ground test on the ground. It fixed the problem. So here's the Hubble crew, still taking pictures. Here's the gang. On the Hubble repair mission, arriving down at KSC. You fly by your launch pad. This is great. 3 days ahead of time, you go buy your vehicle. You ask before you come. No, you ask, hey, Story, how are you doing? Well, we just like take a tier there and fly by launch pad. Sure, what time? Okay, so you ask. Be sure things are okay. But it's a glorious thing to do. This is outrageous. I mean, life is good. So away we go. Here's a bird's eye view of a launch pad A and B at the vehicle assembly building. And your vehicle came in from the desert a few months back. Procedure, stack it up. I'm bringing you the best and the pictures that I have. And so all these, my whole program, you'll see my last slide. If you want this whole program, it's NWG program, Story Musgrave at Hotmail. I'll send you the whole program. That'll be my last slide. I just brought it up here because this is Discovery on its last one to the launch pad. That's a beautiful sunset. On the way to the launch pad, check my birds out, see they're okay. Symbolic for flight. I got animals. I got animals at the launch pad. So I'm always looking, you always ask people, are you comfortable with what we're doing? I check out the animals and see if they're at home, if if they're at peace and serene with this process going on. But the vote is in my favor. I got one that's got a problem. The one should have been right there. And so away we go. Troy here went 30 years with him. He strapped me in Apollo, strapped me in all the missions, water tanks, vacuum, everything. He's my suit tech. He's my helmet. He's my gloves. He is absolutely everything. He and I went the journey for 30 years. We kept trying to do better. Didn't say anything. We just kept raising the bar for ourselves. That's what you do. That's what life. Just keep doing better, the best you can. So this is my favorite launch picture. Yeah, it's just gorgeous because most of the pictures you see of a launch are from the launch pad. When you step back like this, you get this picture. This is some fellow that lives. He lives over here in the waterway. He sent me this in email. How you like this story? Well, my goodness, I love it. It's my favorite. So we're in space. We go get Hubble. I spotted it 6,000 miles away, this bright star, but I saw it through the air, the atmosphere. So you're looking at the limb of Earth, and there it appeared. It appeared in the air. After 18 years, got in the back, getting ready to go out the door. And, of course, there's this here, and we deserved it. We deserved it because of the mirror. We deserved it because how many things broke early. If you buy a new car and you drive it home and it breaks before it gets you home, it's not because it wore out. It's called a lemon. It's called a lemon. It's designed bad or quality bad. So those 13 systems that failed, they should not have failed that early. So we deserved not this kind of thinking. But the Congress says, if you don't do what you say you're going to do, we will not approve Space Station. Space Station has had 200 spacewalks now, so it takes a lot of spacewalking. Congress needs to know you can do what you say you're going to do. But none of that pressure comes to me. I got a plan. So I trained with the great athletes. I trained with Dorothy Hamill. You know, what I'm doing is an athletic event. I brought the perfection that athletes have developed for thousands of years to current space walking. I got my body and I got my tools. And we're going to make all of these moves. We're going to do all these moves. I'm an athlete. I'm just making the moves, you know. So they're athletic moves. So I trained with her. And here's the real spacewalker. When the lights go out in my house, there's only one thing I'm thinking about. I'm not cursing the electric company. When my lights go out, I'm thinking about 3 in the morning, this fella's up that pole with 10,000 volts fixing my electricity. So I'm just thinking what the repair person got to go through. But you look about a spacewalker, this is a real spacewalker. So you learn from them and you're inspired by them. And I knew Secretariat. I used to go visit him at the barn, Claiborne Farms, all the time. The farmhand's eyes here again. He got to hug his horse. Before you leave, you look the horse in the eye. It's for you that I live. It's for you that I go forward. See, it's not horse racing. It's not space flight. It's just you. That's how good you're going to be. You say, that's how good I am going to be. That's me in whatever I do. And there's no reason for anybody to sign up for less. That's how good I'm going to be. So the inspiration can come from all different kinds of places. After 18 years, there I am over Southern Australia, arranging my tools. Here's the real team. I want them with me. It's not leave me alone, let me do my thing. No. I mumble about where I am, where I go to next, because I want them looking after my shoulder. I want them looking at what I'm doing. I want them to be part of me. We go forward together on the journey. I have a 2-hour lecture on how good they are. I can't go into more details except it's just fantastic to have them behind you. And that is the box they corrected for the wrong mirror. It's got a bunch of mirrors that come out. It actually puts lenses on Hubble. That's the big camera that brings you to great pictures. A 700-pound camera called WIFPIC. The solar rays were horrible things. I put on new ones. The solar rays, when they go in the sun, they heat up and expand. But when they jerked in their expansion, they shook the telescope. And when they went on the night side, the cold side, they contracted and they shook. We lost 30 minutes of Hubble telescope pointing every hour and a half around the Earth due to solar panels shaking. How do we get into that? Well, you know solar panel. You put it out there to collect energy from the sun and make electricity. They didn't test them in the sun. Fix that. I went to close these doors. The door swung, but that latch up there and this latch down here. So I couldn't make the latches. I wondered about that. I got back on the ground asking about the latches. We couldn't close them on the ground either story. We had an alignment rig to align them while we closed them. Well, I didn't have one of them things, but I had come-alongs. You know, back on the farm, these things, your semi-truck, you want to attach a payload, you put the straps and you do this with a handle. I put 2 on the shuttle to close shuttle doors. But I asked for the flight director to get one of them with Jeff up top, me in the bottom. I held the door in alignment, in. And right at the alignment position, 2 fingers moved the handle. So the farm kid took care of that with a come-along. And there it is, 1993. My baby's gone. Talking to President Clinton, it's melancholy and sadness. I lost my baby. I'm not getting back. I don't celebrate victories. You know, I don't celebrate victories, and I don't celebrate defeats and failures. I go forward on a journey. I remember them and I take them with me. But I got tomorrow. I'm going to be on some other playing field. So I'm very careful about celebrating victories. A quick look at Mother Earth before we come home. You can't see the pyramids with the naked eye, but you can see the shadows. And I really like to look after them. This is a solar eclipse, and you know that's in the news, man. We're really going to do that. And me and my little girl, I'll go back and pick her up in Florida, and we go to Casper, Douglas, Wyoming to take in the eclipse on Monday. But you can take this a picture from spaceflight, and now you look at Mother Earth. That is the shadow on Earth. So it is really fun to see the shadow. And the space station is all set to go up there. They're going to have 3 passes at this eclipse Monday. They'll start at 30%, and they'll get 85%. So that's pretty good looking at the sun. And they will get lots of shadows on the ground as well. So NASA's ready for that eclipse. Now, those of you who wear glasses, you know, don't look at the sun. Glasses on. Glasses off. Be careful. But looking at the sun. And so, as you well know, here's the major path. So I'll be in Casper, Wyoming, right on the line there. and y'all are quite close for the drive. Okay, take a sunset and come home. This is Madagascar, the Betsy Boca River. The Mediterranean is outrageous, the night pictures that you see. The aurora, people ask me, what's the most spectacular scene you got out there? It's aurora. It's the meteoroids coming in. This is what it looks like with the naked eye. That's what looking out the window's like, to see the aurora. So home we come. In this case, into Florida, home sweet home. You thank people for doing a good job taking you on the journey and taking you home safe. That's before I fixed it, and that's after I fixed it. So that's a Galaxy M100. That's the first shot that I saw. Thank you. All right. Remember, I'm the pragmatist. I'm the mechanical man. There's a bunch of scientists know what they're doing. That's what a star should look like. That's what a star should look. This is what it looked like before the fix. So that spread of that light, the single light source, that spread is what the spherical aberration of the mirror looked like. So you know about these incredibly powerful images, pillars of creation. So 2 years ago, we celebrated the 25th anniversary. I had dinner with the Nobel Prize winners that won their data from the Hubble data. So today, I'm a professor of design at Art Center College for Design in Pasadena. That's 1 week a month. I've been doing that for 12 years. Teaching in the university, teaching some of the best and brightest kids, design, engineering, that kind of stuff. I work for a company called Applied Minds, also Southern Cal, as an innovator, concept artist, you know, just making stuff happen, new ideas. So Intel asked me a little while ago to come to them and tell them what the future of the world was. And I said, the future world of Intel. I said, I can't do that. Musgrave, get your butt out here and do something. Just give us something. We know it'll be good. So I don't know what to give them. But I reverted to back then when I went from computers to the nervous system, and I came up with this painting. So I do paint stuff too. But that's the nervous system, you see, and that's the electronic world, and that's the plant world. All of you are living in this world, so it's increasing complexity on planet Earth. It's happening. Complexity. More and more electrical stuff and tighter and tighter connection between the human and that kind of stuff. But the link between the digital world and the neurophysiological world, which I did way back in the 60s, I do that today with a company called Magic Leap, Plantation, Florida. Now, 2 years ago, we could produce, you're going to experience something. You put our headset on, and there's a shark swimming around on a table. The shark just swims there. You can move your head, and the shark doesn't move. You can walk around a table, and the shark stays there. And if you're not responding the way I want you to, the shark will change its behavior. So me as a neurophysiologist, I am looking and even extending this company, Magic Leap, further than they want to go. But I'm looking at all physiological ways for a digital system to get into this poor biological creature. So it's more than just a monitor, and it's more than just going into the retina. I'm looking at all possible ways as a neurosensory physiologist. The other thing I do, to take it another step, is to take the physiology out, close loop into the digital system, and if you're not creating the response I think you should, I will change the stimulus to you. So that's kind of what I do in life. But you see, I've combined the digital and the neurophysiological world, which I started almost 60 years ago. I do teach excellence in evolution, as you can tell. So I'm going to make it by an hour 20 in 7 minutes. I'm checking the clock. Okay, and so I've raised 9,000 palm trees in the last years, 50 different species. You have. So why do that? I'm a farm kid. What do you think a farm kid in the 80s is supposed to be doing? Farming. So I am farming. I know how to do that. The lesson for you is play to your strengths. You have no weaknesses. What are you good at? What do you have experience? And what can you leverage? That's what to work on. What you're good at. What you got the talents for. So, yes, I've raised 9,000 palm trees. I'm a landscape designer and architect. I'm a contractor. I build in Florida from raw land. I build 5-acre home sites for homes. And so I built this home site for these people. They wanted to be on water, so I dug them a lake. Every single palm tree I grew from seeds. So you see, and I build the lawns. This is a home site. Here's the driveway. It's a totally, this is the driveway. And it's just totally natural, totally beautiful, right off the road. And all those palm trees I grew from seeds, all this stuff. So That's another home site you see there. I grow this kind of grass. I don't have to buy any seeds. I got seeds over here. I hated seeds. I put them in my manure spreader. I spread them out there. I also get compost from utility companies in the manure spreader there. So I don't need fertilizer, and I don't need herbicide. I don't need nothing. I create this grass from nothing. So that's me, farm kid at work again. Now the landscape, this is the typical landscape that I produce for you. If that's your front lawn, this is what you look out on right there. That's my kind of aesthetic right there. So today I have a 1943 farm all. Same thing I did back in 43. So it takes you back. It's not the identical one. It's eBay. It's eBay for $2,000. But it, you know, it takes the kid back then. It takes me way back when I get on that machine. But for $2,000, a fully operational tractor, it's really something. Now this is a little story, Musgrave. So at 2 months, she got to ride in Daddy's laps. But she'd been riding this stuff since 2 weeks. 2 weeks old, she'd been riding this equipment. When she got to be 2 months, I would take her car seats and strap them to the hood. And so I strapped her up here, my cat excavator. I strapped her in tight, and I got mirrors to look at her. So she rides up there. This is 2 months old, and she's learning her engineering and design. She learned all that kind of stuff, learned how to think, learned how to be mechanical. And you say, that would have been a great picture, except Mom says this is not normal. Mom says this is not. And if I find a picture out there anywhere of that, you in big trouble. So today I operate heavy equipment. You know, I operate heavy equipment. I maintain it myself, too. That's what you do in life. So that's my John Deere kid. This is age 7 right there. And so she's driving 2 Kubotas and 2 John Deeres at the age of 7. You know what she's learning? But what are the lessons? We're not talking about little Story Musgrave. Her name's Story Musgrave, too, of course. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about a newborn that comes in the world. What experiences, how do you want to grow them? What do you grow them into, and what are you going to do for yourself, see? It's the same thing. So that's the allegory. A kid comes in the world with nothing. What experiences do you give them to grow them into a complete, you know, human being? And so, but that's what I'm talking about when I deal with little Story here. Now that's her on this machine here. It's an all-terrain vehicle at the age of 7. And she's incredibly good. She has fantastic judgment. Even the neighbor kids ride with her. She's got judgment, too. People object about no shoes. Well, I send her out with shoes, but here's where the shoes go. She's a no-shoe girl. She's a dirt girl. So, but, you know, it's got to be okay. The dog don't have shoes on either, so what you got to do that? The dog goes with her, but the dog very smart. If the dog looking at the situation and says, this is not a good place to be today, the dog will get off. If Story comes home without the dog, you know, I have to ask her how it was going. So all the wigglies, she's into nature, all the things eaten on the pond water, all that kind of stuff. I found a chrysalis, and I hoped we'd be born. It did get born. But it jumped out of its nest there, and it jumped on her. And there you go. It stayed with her for 32 days. She had to take it off to go to school. The butterfly imprinted on her. It was a terrible tragedy when it went on. Probably 32 days, a natural lifetime. And so she makes friends of all the squirrels. And the other squirrels see she's good. So she makes friends of all the kind of squirrels. And there you go, sage talk there. So I added that on a flight over here. Got a barred owl. So they're not easy to photograph, but I do have lots of barred owls, and they're incredibly sociable. We socialize everything. They're very quiet, but if you're walking out at night, they're going to follow you around. They're incredible companions. You know what we're doing here. The trampoline is a triumphant device. It's every day. It's alignment. It's balance. It's exercise. She's an artist. Her table is in the middle of the living room. We're hot air balloonists. We launch from our own place like that. Now, she and I are building, with EAA, we're building our own airplane. That's called an Air Cam. It was designed by National Geographic magazine to take people where no humans had ever been or could go. And so it'll fly at 35 miles an hour. It'll take off in 70 feet, 70 feet. And of course, it's amphibious. It floats or it's on land. And so it's incredibly stable and all. It's the right kind of thing for National Geographic. But Little Story and me are building our own airplane. And so that's what it's going to look like there. I'm going to put full glass cockpit as well as analog so I can fly in and out of all weather and all airports. But the young eagles of EAA, these are my kids. They're building this thing. So I got elementary school kids, and I got middle school kids that are building my airplane. That's a horizontal stabilizer. There's nothing I'm more proud of today than what is going on here. You see that teamwork. You see 4 hands on a drill. They're drilling in, they're doing riveting, they're doing the whole airplane, every single cubic inch. These kids, elementary school and middle school kids are doing. If you look at the engagement that's created in these kids, the excitement about these kids. Now, Michaela there, I give her gloves. No, she don't care about gloves. She got scratches, cuts. That's just part of the business, you know, okay. But you look at the engagement. It's just hard to get that. And this is dad and this is son. So a lot of the parents are in there working with their kids. It's just a great thing to do. And so they build a thing and then they go fly it. And so this kind of excitement, this one step at a time, here's what we're doing. Where is all this going to lead with that gang? And when they get done, they're going to go fly with me. So little story me will go flying on Virgin Galactic. I'm in line to do that. I don't know when they'll get flying, and I need to have them fly enough to look at their reliability. But me and Little Story trying to go into space together. So, finishing up with Walter Cronkite's story, what do you say about his adventure? 3 things. I am privileged to have had all the opportunities, all the playing fields, all the chances, you know, to have a great life. Secondly, it's a sense of humility. I was allowed to get the job done. I could have been stopped. I was allowed to finish. And thirdly, it is not over. And how should we guide ourselves? Cassini, is Cassini still with us? I know it's taking a final dive. Is Cassini? It's not? It's gone? Not yet. Close. Well, Cassini taking the dive down in the rings and getting day we've never seen before, but it's a magnificently successful bird. This is a Cassini picture, and that's Mother Earth, though. You see, that's who we are. This is who we are. We're in a little lifeboat. We're a little spaceship traveling through the universe. That's who we are. And this is us from 3.7 billion miles. The Voyager's been out there for about 35 years now. That's who we are. So it is not over. Spaceflight is the quest for the universe. What is it? And what is humanity's place in it? So I wish you well in that journey with your feet solidly on Mother Earth, your head and heart in the heavens. You go forward and continue that quest for me. Thank you so much for being a great audience.